Welcome to this News9 special with me, Rabila. A former cop who is a law enforcer, protector of the law, has made some shocking comments. Comments which can't be forgiven and should not be forgiven. What's even more disgusting and horrifying is that HT Sangliana, the top cop, the man who made the comments, has not expressed any regret over what he said. At an awards function, a ceremony that was meant to honor women, Sangliana said that Asha Devi, mother of the girl who was brutally gang raped and killed, has a great physique. That's what he said. And he could just imagine, he says, you could just imagine if the mother is so beautiful, how beautiful would the daughter be? I think viewers, listen in exactly to what HT Sangliana says and judge for yourself if this was a statement to be honored.
When I look at her physique is very, very nice. And how beautiful Nirbhaya could have been if her mother is well made by God as she is. I was thinking, people like Nirbhaya who would have attracted the attention of miscreants who had killed her after raping her. It is indeed a very sorrowful story which all of us have to get together to fight against.
Well, that was Sangliana's glorious statement that he made at a ceremony. In fact, a good bunch of women right after the ceremony were looked quite furious with the statement made by Sangliana, quite an insensitive one considering Nirbhaya case. So far, the parents have not received justice. Even now, it's impending for them. Even though the law took its course, the judiciary took its course and finally gave adequate punishment to all those accused. Even then, even till today, the parents of Nirbhaya are still awaiting complete justice because ultimately what happened to her daughter was pretty much something that we can't even imagine. A case that has that shook the entire nation. That was a talk across the globe, and that case set precedence to the judiciary as well. And since then, since the Nirbhaya case, most of the rape cases filed were taken into serious consideration. And considering the gravity of the situation there, going by the fact that Nirbhaya's family had to struggle to get justice, they lost her daughter to a gang who raped and murdered her. Right after that, Nirbhaya's mother has been time and again fighting for the right of women. She has been attending several conferences, ceremonies, just to be present in honor of her own daughter, just to be present to ensure that women who've been victim to such heinous crimes do get justice. And here, looking at Sangliana making a mock of the presence of the mother there really embarrasses all of us, considering he was the police commissioner of Bangalore City. It's embarrassing to say the least that the lady had to come all the way to Bengaluru and to hear this comment where Sangliana says, mother has a great physique, imagine how beautiful the daughter could be. Let's take a look at my colleague Neha. What exactly did Sangliana tell Neha when he had like a candid chat with her? Let's listen in.
Now I have with me HT Sangliana itself. Let's just talk to him and find out, what the idea was and why, this, stirred up such a big controversy. So now, a couple of days back at an event function, we saw a lot of prominent people receiving awards. You made a couple of statements that many women took offense to. Also, many people calling it derogatory as well. How would you like to clarify on this?
I'm very sorry. This has been twisted in a manner which is causing unnecessary heartburns. I frankly said to the crowd that vulnerability of women is such that even Nirbhaya's mother, here we are seeing her today, she looks very smart and very good in her physique. Her daughter Nirbhaya also must be a beautiful girl. Now, beautiful people need protection and caution so that tomorrow they will not be victims of miscreants. Now, in particular, people like Nirbhaya have to be covered with protection, and they have to be careful and watchful. Wherever they go, they should look right and left and see that miscreants don't follow them. So I have mentioned also the do's and don'ts of quite a few points. And those points should have been appreciated rather than trying to make a point of controversy here, which I feel is absolutely unnecessary. I gave it as a compliment, and when people tell me, as an ex-police officer of my age, that I look very smart, I look still like somewhere in my 40s, I feel happy. So I thought if I say you're beautiful or you're nice, that's a compliment which people should welcome it and be thankful to those people who gave the compliment.
Right. So now, I mean, your choice of words in the video, of course, some people have, made a lot of allegations, and you being such a respectable man, I mean, even, of course, your tenure itself, I mean, we've all seen. That is why, I mean, it stirred up a controversy. Do you think maybe it was blown out of proportion? Do you think that...
Absolutely blown out of proportion, and there's no need for creating issue out of non-issue.
So considering that Nirbhaya's mother was also at the event, that has, been another point of concern for many people as well, that, you are making a statement like that in her presence also.
No, it was not meant for harming anybody. It was a complimentary that I gave. So it was an extempore speech kind of a thing. And I thought there was no need for research and preparing myself the whole day and the whole night and speak. It was not necessary. It was a simple matter of complimentary. And why should people raise objection to this?
Right, so of course,
we
I mean...
should be broad-minded from now on, more broad-minded than what we are today. If this kind of inquiries by you is an indication of inquisitiveness, I think it is beyond the limits that we are too inquisitive, trying to read something out of no lines.
Right. So, I mean, you stand by your statement, absolutely. And also, I mean, what do you have to say to, all the women that have been taking offense and, the other people also that have actually
let them not take offense to this. I request them. It is not to humiliate them or to belittle them. It is rather to tell the whole society that women have to be given special protection, and their vulnerability is such, I mentioned in there, that even in Kawan Park, if a man sits there for the whole night, nobody will come and say hello to him. If a lady happens to be there, in 5 minutes there'll be a crowd trying to know why she is there, how she is there, and where is she from, etc. So let us have a broad mind rather than narrow-mindedness, so that our intention as an ex-police officer myself will always be in the interest of society. And these kind of cases were handled by me many times in the past. So I am one whom people can continue to trust. Yeah. And I have not changed. Sangliana continues to be Sangliana, and I'll always be Sangliana, whatever it is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And so there you have it. That was, in fact, HT Sangliana itself clarifying that, the statements made were not really meant to offend any of the women or anybody else. There you have it. With camera person Ramu, this is Neha Hebale for NEWS9, Bengaluru.
Well, what we heard there, absolutely no remorse going by the response or rebuttal that Sangliana gave, that you're making a mountain of a mole of the situation. If you really think so, do join us in. Tell us what you really feel about the statements that he's made. It may have been mindless, but is this what our inherent society thinks? Is this a sort of underlying, thought process that popped up right on his mind when he was talking? May not have been intentional, but pretty much showed that this more or less is how he thinks. Even if he justifies saying, I was just complimenting the mother, be a little sensitive. You are the former cop, you are the former police commissioner. So how can you possibly defend yourself saying that, well, I was just complimenting her? You are complimenting a lady who has struggled and who has lost her daughter to people who are hungry for her body, who raped her, murdered her. She waited for years for justice, so brutally attacked her little girl. And then this lady here is fighting for justice for that many as many Nirbhayas who have pretty much gotten to the same fate, has been coming to Bengaluru to create awareness for women's safety, so that women don't fall victim or don't fall prey to such kind of men who are right now behind bars serving a life sentence. What they did to Nirbhaya, this should not happen to anybody else. So in a platform like that, at a platform like that, speaking about something so sensitive, you say, imagine how beautiful Nirbhaya may have been if her mother has such great physique. Why get to physique? Why get to looks in the first place? Why ugly, women who don't look good? I mean, so the so-called society who call some women ugly, don't they get assaulted? Don't they get raped? Don't they get molested? So this is absolutely ridiculous. There can't be an explanation to this, and there can't be a justification to this. To tell us a little more, I have my panelists joining us, a few women who would be able to tell us, prominent women who are in the city, who are at the helm of affairs, who are outspoken, who are forward. I want to know if women, I mean these women, I'd like to ask all of you women here, if you think this was appropriate, no matter how cool you are, how forward you are, that word forward is so common, how forward you are, how cool you are, how well dressed you are, how open you are, is this acceptable to a woman? Let's go over to RJ Lavanya joining us, the former RJ there. Lavanya, if you can tell us what is this statement? I just cannot fathom it. It's totally above my head. There were a lot of women part of the award ceremony who were disgusted by the statement made by him.
Appalling. Appalling is a word, I would say, and it is very insensitive. I mean, why would you, like you said, why would you go and talk about a woman's physique? What is the necessity even to focus on a woman's physique? Why would he do that? I'm shocked, especially because he's a former cop and he knows how important or how crucial safety is about women. It's a very sensitive topic. Why would he make such a statement? Why talk about a woman's physique, and why even compare her physique with her daughter's? The entire statement looks so ridiculous when it comes from a top cop.
I mean, the way he's talking is like as though women who do not have great physique and great looks do not get, do not fall prey or
exactly. And it is the kids, the women of, all women face this problem. It is even kids face this problem. So what will he say at that point of time? I mean,
exactly.
Why is
babies are raped?
Yes.
So then what?
Exactly. So it's an appalling statement, especially coming from a top cop, former top cop actually.
I mean, he was so celebrated and honored. Today,
Yes.
I think all of that badge of honor has sort of been tainted. And I would say, if anybody thinks that, all right, this is okay, it was not such a bad statement, maybe may have been a mindless statement, well, not with an issue this sensitive. Right? You could have possibly had, say, I don't even know if it's acceptable in a party scenario when everybody's enjoying, having a drink maybe, and communicating with each other, flirting with each other. You're saying something like that. But this is somebody who's suffered, who's bled because of her daughter's death. Daughter was brutally attacked, killed, raped, and how? And this man throws water on all of that efforts that she's putting to create awareness all across the country by attending events just to say that I don't want any one of you girls to end up with the same fate as Nirbhaya. And here he pretty much thinks that he's showering her with compliments, doesn't realize what a chauvinist statement. I don't even know if it's I don't know. I don't know what word to use with this regard. RJ Zisha joining us. Zisha, what would you say to this statement?
I'm surprised.
Would you be okay with somebody talking to you that way?
No, not at all. In fact, what I can't get over is how his brain is even functioning. He's at this event and look at what's going on in his mind. He's clearly, it's his eyes that are doing everything. He's processing this and I'm like, wow, what was your agenda? Why were you at this event? Could you focus on that instead of maybe look at women, check them out, process in your head that, wow, she's so gorgeous. What about her daughter?
You think he really checked her out?
Which is what made him say that, right? Like he's just like, oh wow, she's so gorgeous. What about her daughter? How is your brain even going in that direction? What are you at that event for? Could you please just focus on that instead of? So I'm surprised.
Don't you think this was just a comment, a passing comment that he may have made, and not something that he would have deliberately meant? I mean, if he's really getting to the physique, I can't really imagine if he really looked at her physique in the literal sense, or may have just said it without looking at her physique. I can't understand what exactly he was up to on that day, but the fact that he mentioned physique, he may have clearly done his,
exactly
a good transition with his eyes and then would have said what he said. I know for a fact that people think whatever they think in their head. Imagination can run wild wherever you are,
Definitely
whatever you want to do. You can think whatever you want to think, right? But all in your mind and all in your head. Why would that come to your mouth? And if it does, then you have absolutely no control of yourself, of the way you think. Imagine if you can't control what you think, what would you control what you do?
There's no saying.
Verbal loses. That's pretty much what happened. Right, Lavanya, I'd like you to tell me at an event like this, if somebody says something like this, so insensitive, would you react instantly, or is this something that would you?
I would instantly react. I heard that he didn't stay in the function for long. He just waited for a few minutes and he gave away an award and he walked out of the function. And I also read about how some of the female guests were very uncomfortable, but they were supposed to collect the awards from Nirbhaya's mother. That's why they stayed back. I would be appalled. I would have walked out. I wouldn't want to be there. I would have waited to meet Nirbhaya's mother at some other platform. It's very insulting to a woman who's lost her daughter in such a brutal manner, and she's waiting justice for her daughter, and who's waiting, she's fighting that none of these instances happen to any other girl in India. At such a platform, when this person who was supposedly taking care of the society comes and makes a statement like that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say for such kind of statements. What was he thinking?
What were the reactions of the women who were there? Do you know what the buzz was? Like, what did people say about?
No, I was not at that program, so I've just read about it. I've heard a lot of them were very upset with the statement that he made. Justifiably upset, actually.
I'd go over to my colleague Neha. Neha has been, tracking this end to end. Neha, as a woman, Neha yourself, how embarrassing is this? Imagine how beautiful your mother. No wonder you're like that. Like somebody tells you that.
You know what's even more shocking is that this man that we're talking about has a daughter himself. I mean, didn't he, even for a second, maybe even go over to think about, how this might have impacted his daughter as well? Because, and the fact is, Nabila, even in fact, today when we did catch up with him a little earlier, he did go on to stand by his statements, and he said, I mean, I don't personally feel that there's anything wrong, and I don't see why a clarification should be sought. And I mean, at least even now, after all of this hoo-ha, if he's still not realized that the statement that he's made, of course, about the physique of the mother and the daughter as well, and so upsettingly, I mean, of course, even the mother's not really, probably even she was just so taken aback. And another thing to keep in mind, Nabila, is that probably the mother's not really, gone on to understand itself, because from what we did know is that the mother doesn't really understand English. And clearly, of course, I mean, if she would have understood at the point, I'm pretty sure that she too would have been a little taken aback, exactly, broken down. And the fact is, Nabila, when you call someone like this, when you call a guest over here to actually, come over and give a speech, this is the last thing that you'd expect from him. You'd expect some respectable words to come out, considering the kind of award function that it was. I mean, they were giving away, of course, and even DIG Rupa also, who was at the event, I mean, did not really, go on to react. It is a little shocking why all the women, all the respectable women that were present there also, did not really react and just let it go as a passing comment, Nabila.
I mean, you know what, when somebody says something like that, you would be taken aback. And at an event of that nature, you wouldn't want to sort of upset anybody there, because it's already a sensitive issue. They're giving away awards, they're felicitating some women there. So it's a nice atmosphere. Somebody comes, says something like that, even the women who may have been offended, which is why they even spoke up after he left. Didn't want to ruin the mood possibly right at that moment, and understandably so. Imagine if he said something like that and I was there at an event, I would have been shocked. I would have been looking at him with disgust, one, looking at the mother with pity, and then possibly would turn around and tell my friend that this guy, what an insult, right?
Absolutely.
What an insult that was. I would have said that, but let it go. I wouldn't have possibly stood up there and said, you cannot say something like that, because I guess, that's how we're all built. We don't want to ruin a situation or ruin a mood for that, that minute or that, at that moment. You want to keep it as it is. Everybody's happy, everybody's, but this left an aftertaste.
Considering that it was an award ceremony, that's, probably why none of these women have actually spoken up. Because, Nabila, if this was in another public space, or if this wasn't an award ceremony, I'm absolutely sure that some of these women would have at least stood up for themselves.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got beat up.
Absolutely. I mean,
right?
And why not? Because considering that, I mean, this is not just for a second, I mean, even to think of it, a regular woman itself, for him to be passing a comment. Now, this is someone whom we've been reading about since time. I mean, she was an inspiration to so many, and even after that, all the reactions, all the love that actually poured in for her after the entire incident itself, considering that, you know, she actually gave the nation a sort of strength, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And for him to be, you know, making a statement like this about her mother, not just about her, is of course very, very appalling.
No, I mean, what I really don't get from his statement is that why only beautiful women get raped? Only beautiful women get killed? Like Lavanya said, children are getting raped and murdered. So what exactly is that statement from a former super cop, a police commissioner of Bengaluru? Absolutely disgusting. We'll slip in a quick break. We'd like your comments on that. Please do express your views on what you think of this particular statement made by HT Sangliana, the endorsed and celebrated cop. Really not something respectable coming out from him. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, we'd really like to know what you think as a woman, as a man as well for that matter, what you thought of Sangliana's comments. We'd really like to know. We really want to name and shame this one here, considering he's a responsible man. He's endorsed, he's celebrated, he's an influencer, people look up to him. So what he said is not acceptable, because there'll be that many people who will probably be following his footsteps, who are already following HT Sangliana for the man he was, I wouldn't say is today. Whatever it is, this statement has really helped him lose his credibility. I would say that. Let's quickly go over to Anu and Sanath joining us. Anu, I'd like you to give me your interpretation to this statement here. Would you take this lightly, sitting down saying, old man, he just made a statement, that's fine?
Definitely not, because we are in a situation where every statement does matter, and everyone telling us one or the other things does influence us in one or the other way. A person like Sangliana, whom my mother used to talk about, saying this person was like this, he used to do a lot of stuff for Bangalore and all that. Listening to such a statement from this person, and who my mom was talking about, and my mom would actually take it even more serious when it comes to she being admiring him, and me coming behind her footsteps would be even more worse when it comes to he telling that women's physics is so good. Imagine what her daughter would be like. That would be very worse. Even it would relate to even being raped by saying all that. So it indirectly, virtually does matter when it comes to a statement that hard.
What would you say to his justification, saying you guys are reading into this? I didn't really say it with that intention. I mean, come on, like, you know, it was an event. I was appreciating somebody. It was more like a compliment. If you compliment me at my age now, I'll be so happy. So
it is definitely not a compliment. She is getting awarded for something not about her physique. She's getting appreciated for something she did good as a being woman and fighting for her daughter, and she is being appreciated for her physique. If she was a model or she was an actress,
that was a different scenario.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
well said, very well said. Sanath, as a guy, a college goer, somebody who's surrounded with beautiful women, all kinds of women, beautiful, not so beautiful, whatever. Okay, I mean, because I don't know, like this man here is pretty much, you know, pull the trigger for me. Beautiful, not beautiful, whatever kind of women around you. Would you say that eve teasers in your college, if there are any, I'm sure there are everywhere, right? These, you know, lafange kind of boys, eve teasers, do they look at only good-looking women and eve tease, or is just anybody, because that's a habit?
In fact, you can't call them eve teasers, because everybody appreciates women, and women likes to be appreciated. And I think people like Sangliana, Mr. Sangliana, he is an opinion leader, and people get influenced because of his status quo and what he has done for the society. So people take that, they take him very seriously. He making such comments, I think maybe it was overstated. But then as citizens, I think we should let go of it, because everybody makes comments. But then I understand the issue that it is Nirbhaya and it is her mom.
You
so
understand the issue?
So yeah, I do understand the issue.
Well, I understand it.
Well, merely understanding is not enough. I think the reactions that follow, like this, the debate, why
so
this debate happened.
So basically you can't call eve teasers because everybody appreciates women.
Of course, everyone appreciates. So you can't
so you
point
cannot
I can't point everyone.
Eve teasers.
You can call them,
I
but
think he is
but
really
but
the same
based,
issues and
but
things.
it depends.
You
but
pretty much sound that way.
it depends on the communication, the what he communicated about the woman. It depends on that. So in that case, everyone
Eve
should be called
teasers
an
are
Eve
Eve
teaser.
teasers. People who appreciate beauty are people who are appreciating beauty. People who are rapists are rapists. You cannot blur the lines.
Yes, you
Right?
can't. You can't blur the lines.
You cannot
You-
possibly blur the lines.
Yes,
so if
yes.
your opening statement was you can't call them Eve teaser. I'm sorry.
But then-
they are Eve teasers. If Eve teasers are Eve teasing, they are Eve teasers.
Maybe he
You
should
cannot
be
say
But
they
then-
are just boys who are appreciating beauty. I
But
mean,
then-
get a life.
But then, okay, fine. Talking about Mr. Sangliana, but then I can't call him an Eve teaser now. Can you call him? He's in such a status quo. Can you call him an
Yes,
Eve
I
teaser?
can.
That
For
is
the
what
statement
he
he
is
made, of
talking.
course
That
I
is
will
what-
call him an Eve teaser.
I think he should stay in the women's shoes for a day and see what Eve teasing and
But
raping
then,
and
that's what
all
I said
that
in the
means.
middle. That's what I said before. Because everyone, even women, likes to be appreciated. Okay,
not in
what
that
it's just the society which is making it overrated
Okay,
and
Sanat, I'm
overstated.
going to hold you there.
Okay, I have
Lavanya.
a point to make to Sanat, okay, and for the entire panel. It is only in some of the countries like India, we call it eve teasing. It is called as molestation across the world. Let us be very clear. When you're complimenting a woman, if the woman is familiar with you, then it is a compliment, okay. If it is a stranger who is walking, even if it is your college mate, and if you are passing comments about her beauty, then it is eve teasing or molestation. You know, you're molesting her with your words, with the way you look at her. That itself, by saying it is just eve teasing, we are normalizing this whole phenomenon.
But then people are not looking at the other side, because he even later he just followed by a statement. He said that is not my interpretation at all. It's the society which has
Oh,
taken
so
in that way.
basically you can
Yes,
say
you should see the both. You should see both the sides.
why should I see
No,
both the
Nabila,
sides?
we have to keep
Why
in mind
exactly
that he's
should I
not-
see both the sides when a man as responsible
He's
as
not
he
even
is
tendered an
made a
apology
statement
yet.
and then he's backtracking saying
And
that I didn't mean it that way. So
And neither
imagine
has he tendered an apology, Nabila,
a
keep
guy
that
goes
in
and
mind.
rapes a girl and then says, you know what, I didn't mean to rape you. You said no to me. I was in love with you. You said no to me. You forced me to say this or do this.
Yes. But then I also agree, because he's a man with such a reputation. So people also, tend to get overreacted when such people who they
I'm sorry,
believe
Sanat,
is
I
really.
think it's about time that
stature to
Indian
make a
women
statement like
overreacted.
this.
I think it's about time. Because everywhere else you said something like this,
And
you'd
no,
be
Nabila,
behind bars.
Nabila, let's go
Be
back
thankful
to-
you're still
let's
sitting
go
here.
back to the
Not, I
fact
don't
that-
mean you. I mean the ones who say
No,
it
I
and
don't
do
mind,
it.
because
they should be
because even
thankful
I do
that they're still
respect women.
outside bars.
I do respect women. Even I do appreciate women, but
Nabila,
not
let's
in
go back
a
to it.
way
Let's
that
actually go
hurts
back
them.
to the fact where he's not
Appreciating something
apologized.
and lusting and obsessing over something and trying to think that this is your right to get what you want, that is different.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Don't blur the lines. Don't make everybody sound normal. This is not normal. I think it's about time that we draw a line between what's normal, what's abnormal.
True, that's
This
true.
is abnormal.
I agree with that. I totally
awards
agree with
function.
that.
Eventually say I didn't mean that way. You guys are interpreting it that way. I didn't say it that way. That's what people who do wrong do that. Later on they do that.
I'm actually
That's what
glad he's
regret.
here.
Say I didn't. And what's the most common excuse of a guy who molests or who rapes a girl? That I tried to talk to her and she
Nicely
didn't
and
respond,
yeah.
and then I just lost it, and then my anger gave in and I raped her because I wanted to teach her a lesson. Isn't that the most common reaction that
Yeah.
you get?
Yeah.
So why should we be okay with a statement like this when that many women are suffering across the country? So far they've not got justice. So many years of waiting for it. Our judiciary is so slow to bring them justice. Fast track courts are not coming up and are not efficient enough to bring these women justice. At a time like this, when we're transitioning from being docile and being quiet to actually being outspoken and putting our foot down and saying we will not accept something like this. In this transition, while we women are going through that transition, a statement like this is definitely not welcoming. It comes as an absolute shocker, a rude shock by Sangliana.
And Nabila, actually going back to the fact where he's not even realized the brevity. I mean, he's not even realized the impact that the statement of his has created. He's not rendered an apology despite us asking him, if he stands by his words. He says, I don't think there was anything wrong. It was just a casual compliment that was made. It was an extempore speech. Now, how is it that despite, so many reactions pouring in, so many women voicing their concerns, at least now, a basic apology at least, if nothing else.
Yeah, he
maybe
should
at least-
apologize. I mean, if he's really responsible, he should really come out. And as a police officer, I mean, I would understand still if he was, in any other profession is fine. As a police officer, knowing that many cases that many cases that have come to his table of women being raped, molested and whatnot.
Absolutely.
For a man like that who is already sensitized to be insensitive, that's not forgivable or pardonable for that matter. Let's quickly take in what sort of reaction that Sangliana gave to my colleague Neha when she spoke to him. Was he any remorseful or regretful? Take a look.
Now I have with me HT Sangliana itself. Let's just talk to him and find out, what the idea was and why, this, stirred up such a big controversy. So now a couple of days back at an event function, we saw a lot of prominent people receiving awards. You made a couple of statements that many women took offense to. Also many people calling it derogatory as well. How would you like to clarify on this?
I'm very sorry this has been twisted in a manner which is causing unnecessary heartburns. I frankly said to the crowd that vulnerability of women is such that even Nirbhaya's mother, here we are seeing her today, she looks very smart and very good in her physique. Her daughter Nirbhaya also must be a beautiful girl. Now, beautiful people need protection and caution so that tomorrow they will not be victims of miscreants. Now, in particular, people like Nirbhaya have to be covered with protection, and they have to be careful and watchful. Wherever they go, they should look right and left and see that miscreants don't follow them. So I have mentioned also the do's and don'ts of quite a few points. And those points should have been appreciated rather than trying to make a point of controversy here, which I feel is absolutely unnecessary. I gave it as a compliment, and when people tell me, as an ex-police officer of my age, that I look very smart, I look still like somewhere in my 40s, I feel happy. So I thought if I say you're beautiful or you're nice, that's a compliment which people should welcome it and be thankful to those people who gave the compliment.
So considering that Nirbhaya's mother was also at the event, that has, been another point of concern for many people as well, that, you are making a statement like that in her presence also.
No, it was not meant for harming anybody. It was a complimentary that I gave. So it was an extempore speech kind of a thing. And I thought there was no need for research and preparing myself the whole day and the whole night and speak. It was not necessary. It was a simple matter of complimentary. And why should people raise objection to this?
Right, so of course,
we should be broad-minded from now on, more broad-minded than what we are today. If this kind of inquiries by you is an indication of inquisitiveness, I think it is beyond the limits that we are too inquisitive, trying to read something out of no lines.
Right. So, you stand by your statement, absolutely. And also, what do you have to say to, all the women that have been taking offense and, the other people also that have actually
let them not take offense to this. I request them. It is not to humiliate them or to belittle them. It is rather to tell the whole society that women have to be given special protection, and their vulnerability is such, I mentioned in there, that even in Kabon Park, if a man sits there for the whole night, nobody will come and say hello to him. If a lady happens to be there, in 5 minutes there will be a crowd trying to know why she is there, how she is there, and where is she from, etc. So let us have a broad mind rather than narrow-mindedness, so that our intention as an ex-police officer myself will always be in the interest of society. And these kind of cases were handled by me many times in the past. So I am one whom people can continue to trust. Yeah. And I have not changed. Sangliana continues to be Sangliana, and I'll always be Sangliana, whatever it is.
Wow. His justification was more amusing to me than his speech itself. He says, you guys are narrow-minded, which is why you're twisting and turning what I said, one. Number two, beautiful women need protection. Right, okay.
So it's like I can't live my life, I can't do anything because I am pretty or beautiful. I need to be under protection throughout. I can't even live my life now because
Now,
what a
who
curse.
exactly is he
Who
to
sets
tell?
the
Who is
standard of
exactly?
beauty?
Who
Exactly.
exactly is he to say who's beautiful and who's not?
Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So now who decides this?
Correct. That's
Absolutely, and more than that, why is it that, you know, again, we're coming back to that fact that it's only beautiful women that get raped, or, you know, only pretty women that are whatever, molested or assaulted, you know? Why is it,
I mean, saying it in as many words.
And who sets the
He's
standard
really
of
saying
beauty?
it
I
in
mean,
as many
society,
words.
considering going by society's norms of beauty, I mean, do you really think the number of women that get raped on a minute, I mean, on a daily basis, on a minute basis, do you think all of them are so-called pretty by his
Like
standards?
she said, kids are getting raped. So what? I mean,
Maybe is.
The entire premise, you know, I think he's forgetting that he's objectifying women there.
yeah.
He's forgetting the entire, you know, point of he's objectifying women, and you're not supposed to do that. And that is the problem today with the society. And yeah, and as a person, as a responsible citizen who, you know, whose statements impact such a huge number of people, he needs to think about it before he talks.
You know what's the fact that he was actually, you went back to him to actually get his reaction and gave him an opportunity to apologize. He did not take that opportunity to apologize. That's what actually, surprises us, that Sangliana didn't think it was important to apologize to the mother, if not for anybody else, if not for the number of women who felt offended, just to the mother of Nirbhaya, just a message sent out to her that, sorry ma'am, I did not mean it that way. No, that did not come. Instead, he called everybody else who rebutted or objected to his statement as narrow-minded. That's the kind of narrow-minded society, I think, that pretty much patriarchal society that we are living in. Hopefully, that will change one day, but in the meanwhile, we will fight. We'll slip into a quick break. We'll be right back on that. Welcome back. Coming back to the narrow-minded platform here, right? Let me introduce Somdutta joining us, an entrepreneur, woman of with many feathers on her cap. Somebody who's dealt with women on several dealt with men on several platforms and men of all kinds. So, what would you react to this Sangliana's statement? I mean, I do know that you interact with many men who are possibly audaciously saying things like, wow, you know what, you're so beautiful, no wonder you're on top of your game. Right. You're so beautiful, no wonder you have your red carpet laid out. Right. No wonder you're doing so well in your business because men are so accommodative of you because you're beautiful. Do you welcome this, or do you what would you be your reaction to it? This is more or less like that.
Well, firstly, I don't think, I'm going to answer it in two parts. I don't think, women should take offense to the fact if they're called beautiful. The most important part is the context. I think mostly where it goes wrong is that it is pretty much given out less as a compliment and more as an instinct of trying to get something from them, right? Pretty much when men are complimenting you, sometimes it's because you're beautiful. It's okay with it. You don't have to be shy about who you are and how you look. Coming to context of Mr. Sangliana, I think what it gives us is not about how men talk, but about the people who are of a certain repute, managing the society, have such important roles and such important positions they hold, that the government jobs which entitles them to these positions now need to conduct a psychometric test before they actually hire anybody. Because this just shows that a man who was at the helm of affairs for so long has a very sick mind. And I pity the women in his household. That's what I kind of think of. Like, maybe he's objectifying his
three lovely daughters.
Yes, and I think he objectifies them, and it makes me wonder that it is these fathers, I think, which typically you hear that, when you hear about these molestation cases where the fathers are involved, I think somebody needs to go and check in his house what's happening, because that's a man who can talk like that about a woman who was getting felicitated at an event, saying that, if the mother is so beautiful, then what would have happened to the daughter? He was at one point in time invited. First of all, physique is a wrong word. I think somebody needs to train him in English. A woman has a figure, not a physique. So even there he went wrong. It just goes to show that, he's a man with a lot of conflicting thoughts and a mind full of, issues. He needs help.
And when he says something like, I didn't even mean what you're interpreting
out of proportion.
You're interpreting
Nabila,
it and blowing it out of proportion.
That's exactly what I'm saying, that he needs help, because it looks like he has a verbal paralysis. He doesn't know what he's speaking, and if his mind is thinking something else and his mouth is speaking something else, then he's suffering from maybe a serious mental dysfunction.
That's pretty much what I was saying, that don't, if you have issues and if you didn't think and speak, then, you know, correct yourself the next time. Don't get onto such platforms where you cannot think and you just speak without thinking.
It's
why
not even
would you
getting
do that?
onto such platforms. It just makes me worry that you know, people like this are just going to be very difficult on the society. And I'm really concerned about his family. If you really ask me, my sympathy goes out to them, that they have to deal with a man like him.
I mean, I'm just thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be offending his daughters, but he said something like beautiful women need protection. Does he give his daughters protection just because they are beautiful, and possibly all three daughters may not be equally beautiful? Maybe one is beautiful, the other one is less beautiful. So maybe the more beautiful one gets protection and the less beautiful does not get protection. I mean, how can he say things like that?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Just imagine.
It's a sign of a sick mind. Firstly, who is he to define beautiful? Right? And first of all, like, I'm as a father, I think, I don't think anybody thinks that any of their daughters is less beautiful. Even if they're not in the so-called eyes of the society, which I totally defy. I think every individual born is beautiful. It's because of how they act what makes them ugly. And it just goes to show that he's a very ugly man. But most importantly, what we need to focus on, that he has an issue which needs attention. Because at one point in time, he was associated with BJP, as such an important party. So they let go of him, because I'm not sure if many of us know that he indeed voted for the nuclear deal, right? So he has been exhibiting issues from a very long time, and these are all mental issues.
He's now with the Congress,
he needs to go. First of all, no party that is presenting the national interest of a country like India, which is not only a democratic country but a country of sanity and a country of sanctity, I think cannot advocate or cannot allow people like Sangliana to be a part and represent the society. Because at this point in time, I would urge whoever his family members are, with folded hands, that please take him to a shrink. He needs attention before this gets worse. Because people like this, my dad's a neuropsychiatrist, and I'm not kidding here, but there are people who exhibit certain things where say, I don't know what I meant, and I don't think I did something wrong.
And what is so wrong? I just complimented. What is wrong with complimenting?
I wish his compliment was about, all kudos to her and respect to her for being able to deal with such a difficult situation, of losing a child.
But had he called her beautiful as a person, it's a similar statement, but a whole lot of meaning to it.
Absolutely.
That would have really,
the articulation,
exactly. But he very specifically said physique.
That's what I'm saying.
And he also said it again when
exactly. Even when I questioned him and asked him, maybe would you have, prefer to word it differently? He said, no, I don't see why I should. I mean, there is nothing wrong with what we've done.
Absolutely no remorse and no regret there. So, I mean, it's more or less like, you as a woman are narrow-minded. Why are you thinking that way? Why don't you think in a broader manner?
It's okay for a man to say that, oh my God, you have a beautiful physique and I think you're so damn attractive, and that gives me an idea how attractive your girl would have been, and therefore, and he just didn't say that. He also said, let's not forget, that if women are overpowered, please give in first.
Yeah.
Then fight the case later on.
We're actually trying to get that reaction. We'll play it for you where Sangliana said if women are overpowered, basically,
just give in.
If you are a woman who is getting raped,
give in first.
And if you have no choice, then give in. This is exactly the statement made by Sangliana. We're really trying. I wanted to get to that once I got the reaction of his. We're waiting from the production team side to get that particular bite. We'll play it to you. Take a listen at what exactly he says, that give in if you are overpowered. That's the kind of man we call as an influencer and as a top cop, former top cop. I think he should be stripped of all those honors. I really believe so.
Absolutely.
As a woman, as all the women here, barring Sanat, of course, for a moment.
As a human being, it's not about a woman or a man. It's about a human being. It just gives me a feeling.
But I'd like you to listen into what Sanat has to say. I'll come back to you, Sanat. I think you're going to really boil all our blood, boil us right now if we let you speak.
No, I'm already being grilled, so
you should be grilled. For what you said, you should be grilled. I'll come back to you. I'll go over to my colleague Pratibha there. Pratibha is a woman of substance. She is, she speaks her mind, and she is you know, she's fought her stance. Wherever she is, she's put her foot down for her right. And as a woman, she's always believed that she can, you know, she can achieve. And a statement coming in from a colleague or from anybody, any boy around you, or for that matter, a top cop like this, would this be inviting, welcoming, or would you be okay with it? Pratibha joining us from the newsroom to tell us a lot more on the comments received after Sangliana's statement. Pratibha, can you hear us?
Absolutely, Nabila. You know, like you mentioned, there's something that you already discussed as well. There's a very thin line between a compliment and an insult. You know, you're telling somebody you look nice. That's a completely different scenario than what he's saying right here when he's talking about the physique of this particular woman. And you know, all of that aside, like we were mentioning before as well, the biggest issue is that this is the DGP. This was a former top cop of Karnataka. We've spoken about how there are several women who don't come out and speak, you know, several rape victims who have that stigma attached. You know, it's not just society, but also they even fear going to the police station because they think that perhaps the police officials might not really be as sensitive about the entire issue as they really should. And sensitizing them is something that has been discussed so many times. So now we know why. This was somebody who served as the DGP of Karnataka. I'm sure he had several rape cases also that came to him. So is this how he looked at all of the cases, like we've discussed before, when a rape victim came to him? Did he really think that, you know, as a victim you should have really given in and not really fought for it, and then later you should have seen legally where it goes? That's something that, you know, is that what he was telling the victims? This is the biggest problem here, that he was somebody who was a DGP of Karnataka and there were so many cases under him, and probably this is how he was looking at the victims, which is so disappointing and which is so, you know, heartbreaking to know that as a DGP, as somebody who's a top cop, telling the other police officials if this is how he is as a top cop, you can imagine how it is in the lower rank officials as well, because this is something that he would have passed on as well. And how insensitive would it be for the rape victims to know that a top cop is speaking out like this? And not just top cop, but he's also somebody who has been a public figure as well. Of course, he was an MP from the BJP. Now also he continues to be a part of Congress. So this is somebody who, you know, has a lot of people who see, who watch every step that he's taking. So that's where it's also shocking. And coming to the second part of it, the fact that he said it was, you know, something that we can never forgive him for. Of course, no woman can ever forgive him for the statements that he made, talking about the beauty of a rape victim, when, you know, what you need to talk about is the courage. During the coverage of the Delhi gang rape as well, Nabila, as you remember, everybody, all the media outlets had the access to the images of the rape victim, and everybody withheld. None of the media personnel really wanted to give out these images because it was not about how she was or what she was wearing. All of these loose talks were set aside. This was about a woman who was fighting for survival. For all the days that she was fighting for her survival, we were really talking about that. So it's quite disappointing to see that, you know, the top cop is talking like this, and to see his reaction to that as well, Nabila. Like you were talking, while talking to Neha, his reaction is so baffling. He's not able to understand what is so surprising in this.
He calls us narrow-minded there, Pratibha. But Pratibha, I'd like to ask you, as a strong woman yourself, I mean, you are opinionated. You are somebody who expresses whatever comes on your mind, you speak. And if at all, you know, you are speaking to a colleague for that matter, or any friends outside, right? A boy comes and tells you, you know what, Pratibha, you're so outspoken and so smart and you're so cool, and just because you're all of that, I also have the right to say you're so beautiful, your body and your figure is amazing. Just because you're an outspoken girl, does that mean you can take a comment like that coming from anybody, more so a top cop like that? I mean, what would be your reaction, Pratibha, as a girl who's seen all kinds of people there, and you yourself, I know for a fact, that are so smart, you speak your mind. So you know, it shouldn't. Men usually think, you know, I was just saying that to all these women here. The moment you're friendly or a little outspoken, you're considered to be easy, and then whatever the man says, he thinks that why not? You can be whatever you want. I can't say this one statement. That and you get offended by it. That's the kind of perception that pretty much our patriarchal society has. But what would be your reaction there, Pratibha, if at all?
No, absolutely. It really depends on the context, isn't it, Nabila? I mean, this is a situation that you and I almost face. Every girl, I can say, you know, faces this kind of a situation on a daily basis. We know there are people who are genuinely nice and giving you a compliment, and there are some people who are also trying to slight you. It's called a left-handed compliment, of course. Say something nice, but it's actually meant as something else. I mean, it goes beyond just being fake. It's about, you know, several times it's used as a way of saying somebody's dumb. That's the saddest part of it. Several times when people talk about how pretty or oh, she's very beautiful or something, they tried, you know, the underlying context of that is that, okay, she doesn't have brain, she's beautiful, but that's about it. But that's also, you know, talking about mindsets, that's what it is. His mindset was really sick, and that is what really sickens us. So this is also a mindset that probably builds on to something like that, isn't it? So we have to live with something like that. And his reaction, like we were talking about, when he went on to say that what's wrong in that, beautiful people need protection. Are you saying that nobody else needs protection and you decide who's beautiful and who needs protection? So, you know, absolutely sickening comment from the former top cop there.
Another question to you, a quick note. He is representing the KPCC there, Congress. What do you think, what sort of you know, precedents will he be setting there?
That's right. Somebody who has been in a public...
Right, Pradeep, I'll hold you there.
I consider my statement to be absolutely within the limit, and I feel it is an attempt to make issue out of non-issue whatsoever. So I think this should be taken in the right spirit, and everybody should know that we have to give protection to women day and night, 24/7, and let us not fail in our duty as such. So here, it was a complimentary that I gave. It was not degradation or belittling of a person. As such, I have nothing to clarify. I have nothing to withdraw. I said what I have said, and now I've come to the knowledge that there are certain people who are very extra sensitive in their opinion on certain issues. But here, as a man who has 4 daughters myself, where is that I should speak ill of the women's need for protection? It is I who have been giving them protection all these 40 years.
Again, no sorry. I was really hoping and waiting for a sorry. There's no sorry. Why?
Do you see any remorse on his face?
No, he's saying, in fact, he's possibly looking, I mean, he's looking at it as somebody trying to malign his image and trying to make a scene out of nothing. I mean, come on, grow up.
And
grow up.
We're being sensitive. That's exactly what I said.
Extra
Yeah,
sensitive.
he says oversensitive. He says, why is everyone...
Why
you know,
not? Why shouldn't we be oversensitive, especially when we're talking about a Nirbhaya case, Nirbhaya's mother we're talking about? Why shouldn't we be oversensitive? Like, quickly going back to Pratibha from the newsroom. Pratibha, this man, a Congress representative, he is, you know, he is pretty much the vice president of the KPCC. I'd like to know what sort of precedents is he setting, and what should ideally the Congress be doing for a man like that with verbal loosies?
That's right, Nabila, you saw his reaction just now as well. Another opportunity where he could have apologized, but clearly looks like he doesn't want to at all. Even here, he goes on to say, I can see that some oversensitive people are getting affected by this, basically trying to put the blame on whoever's getting offended by his statement. So it's, you know, back to where we were. He's again pinning the blame on whoever's taking offense to his offensive remarks. And coming to, of course, the politics of it, of course, legally, like we were talking to a few legal experts as well, because of his statement, it might not be possible to take any action against him legally for the statements that he has made, even though he's a public figure. But of course, being a part of the KPCC, you know, the Congress should really step up and sack him from the party, because this is a very disturbing statement that he has made, and this, you know, takes us back to 2012. Back then, we saw the huge protests that took place during the Delhi gang rape, and how every girl was really fighting for those rights to fight the patriarchy. And this kind of a mindset is what every girl really felt, and now it seems like we've gone back to 2012, where we're fighting the very same mindset. We're fighting the very same things.
We've come a long way from 2012, and Nirbhaya's case and Nirbhaya's mother, her family for that matter, have literally, you know, responded so well in terms of, you know, being so hurt, being so upset over what happened to their child. Even then, they put their foot down and they fought for justice for the many Nirbhayas who are still awaiting justice for that many years. So from 2012 to 2018, we indeed came a long way. And this, you know, shocks me. This almost makes it look like our society never grew. We never advanced. What were we fighting for the last 5-6 years? For a man to come around, a man of this cadre and responsibility that he has, that he carries on his shoulders, to come around and make a statement like this, basically bring us a whole circle. So I don't really understand what his presence in the Congress or his presence in any of these functions, how it's going to add value. In fact, it's only bringing them shame. I'd like to go over to our panelists after a quick break. Stay tuned with us. Welcome back. Well, let's quickly go over to Sanat. Sanat's been, waiting to speak up. I really like Sanat to speak and Somdutta to react to this. Sanat, what did you get out of this that you heard from Sangliana now?
What I think is...
Would you pardon him?
Well, no, it's not a question of pardon or something, but then I would say, calling someone beautiful is beautiful because he wanted, that is a context where he wanted to appreciate the woman. So I think maybe watchful of words, yes, that's a question when he spoke about physique, but I think beautiful is, I think it's something which can be taken.
But he
and
said
physique, yeah, that cannot be taken, I totally agree. But I think beautiful, there's nothing wrong about it because even I just told my co-panelist that she's beautiful. So I didn't get any backlash from that.
No, because I was your friend, you didn't get any backlash.
But then you did ask a question, if colleagues would have told your friends beautiful and vice versa, you wouldn't invite that.
Beautiful. I never said beautiful. I said if a colleague tells you your physique is nice, my colleague saying it to me,
I think it would be much worse he would have told if he would have said that you're looking ugly or something.
Oh my God, okay.
You know what? Please, this is pretty much what half of the men around think.
I didn't talk about physique.
Or more than half of the men.
I just spoke about the beauty.
So basically, you've done justice to me, or you've been nice to me by calling me beautiful and saying favored. By calling me beautiful,
no, it's a respect.
Or that I have good physique. At least you didn't call me ugly.
It's respect.
We didn't ask
you. I think Sanat is very young. I think he's yet to see a lot of the world. But I'm just going to give him one context, though I don't want to even, bring it up. Imagine his mom, right, was at a event where she's getting felicitated, and a gentleman goes onto stage and says, you know what, Sanat, whatever Sanat's mom is, I would just address it as Sanat's mom. I think she is, on one hand, she can say she's a strong lady who's done phenomenal amount of work, and kudos to her. She's a beautiful lady with an amazing physique, and I'm sure that has been one of the biggest contributors, to her achieving what she is achieving, and therefore I think Sanat should follow that footstep. I think he would have gone on the stage and bashed the man. You know why it doesn't matter to him? It's not his mom and it's not his sister who died. The problem is, unless it hurts us, unless we have gone through it ourselves, we're always very guarded. Well, it's all right. I do not think.
But Nirbhaya for us is an example set. She's not related to us. Why do we feel the pain as women?
I think Sanat
Why do we feel the pain as women?
It's like this, right? Every human being, and that's what I say, the IQ and the EQ. Most of us have a very developed logical sense, but a very poor emotional sense. Over a period of time, because of the environment that we are in, with the people that we surround ourselves with, we become who we become. Right, the guy who, the juvenile who actually was responsible for her death, took out her intestine, said she wanted to teach him, he wanted to teach her a lesson. A guy who is all of 16 years old wants to teach a woman lesson because she was trying to overpower him. And here is a man who's supposed to serve justice to those who have not gotten justice and have been wronged, saying that when you're being overpowered, give up so that you don't have to die. I would prefer death than going through what I'm going
up
through.
And lose my dignity
of course.
to 5 men.
I think I empathize with Sanat because I think he's first of all not aware of what has happened. I think he was very young when the entire Nirbhaya incident took place. He doesn't know what people went through, and I think none of his friends have actually encountered or seen what he has. God forbid his mom or his sister has to go through it. This is the same guy who's going to come on this panel and abuse the shit out of this guy. He's not going through it right now, so he's okay. He's guarded his cold shoulder.
Why do we as women who possibly haven't gone through it, why do we why do we bleed?
You know why? Because most of us women, let's understand, no, it's not an Indian issue, it's not a Europe issue, it's a universal thing, right? Most of us, and it's not man or woman, let me tell you this, because I have a lot of friends from the LGBT community. I have a lot of friends who are gay or have other sexual preferences.
And are still abused even in that.
And have been abused.
Yes.
Have been abused to things you can't even imagine.
Yes.
Right? So there is a friend of mine who, when he was in school, has been overpowered by 6 other boys and have been raped. Rape to me is a rape irrespective of gender.
Absolutely.
Right? First thing first. Secondly, as a society, it's not a man or a woman debate. As a society, even my father, when he saw this and he told me, go ahead and speak up, because he said, this is ridiculous. This man needs to be either behind the bars, because I call it defamation. I don't know what the lawyers are saying. If Nirbhaya's mom, Asha, ma'am, decides to go ahead and file a case of defamation, it stands good.
It will stand good. It will stand good. So
I'm a student of law myself, so I know it's going to stand good.
He definitely will have
It's a
legal
defamation,
implications on
right?
this, no
It's a
doubt,
defamation.
for being so insensitive.
And I think everybody in this room, right? I think everybody who is even the crew here is equally sympathetic about the fact that anybody, if a man or a woman, even if it was a woman who would have got on stage and said, oh, I think a woman should give up when she's overpowered, my reaction would still be the same. I am not talking about a man here. I'm talking about a human being living in a civilized society, acting like an animal, doesn't belong here. Let him go to a mental asylum or put him behind the bars. Because if he is there, I worry for his daughters. I really do. And I worry for his rest of the family who have women who he may be objectifying every single day.
Right.
Objectification
I'll put you on hold there. Let's quickly take in Sujata calling in from JP Nagar with her views. Sujata, please go on.
Hello, Nabila.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed the panel discussion today. I was invited, but I've got another session in the evening.
Right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Please go on. Please go on.
Yeah. First and foremost thing, as all those ladies are discussing on the panel, I would condemn the statement what such an high officer, being an ex-officer, giving such a statement for the lady in that felicitation ceremony, where it was actually, instead of giving that statement, I think he had many other courageous statements he could have given to overcome the situation what she has undergone.
Very
and
true.
as we all know that even today she has not got the justice for what has happened after 5-6 years. So why, being a police officer, he could have helped her to get the justice and help all other cases which are pending. So something like that he could have spoken.
Very true.
And talking
I mean, if he
about
says
a
that we are
physique-
interpreting into his statement, you should have been smarter and made a better statement than something like this. Why, you had all the room to make all the positive statements possible, and you chose that.
And as you mentioned earlier, I feel sorry that so many women attending such a felicitation program, and none of them are questioning or raising a voice over there.
But that's like how we're pretty much conditioned to do, no? They expect you to keep shut. You keep quiet, and that's generally how women are. They want to be cultured by not speaking out. That they think that they're being cultured by being quiet. But right after the event, they did speak up. They did speak out, which is why it's all over the news, because they did not take it lightly. They waited for the event to get over, did not want to make it uncomfortable for the other women or the entire crowd there. So they waited up until he left. And that's when it became an issue, and it was spoken about at large.
Yeah,
the women who were part of the event were disgusted by the statement.
Nabila, as you said that, yes, when you're not taking, or any other woman is not taking a stand in that situation and taking out later, yes, one more Sangliana, after another 3 days, we'll give another statement in one more program.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So where is the morality? Where has it gone? Being such a high position, retired officer, and he's been a role model to all the people. And I think we all have watched Sangliana movie as a children, right? So as a child, when we watched that movie, images was left in our mind, where we took him as a role model.
He was a role model until now. Yeah, I would say that. Sujata, thank you so much for sharing your views there. We need more women like you to come out, stand up, speak up. Don't be okay with something like this. Like Sanat says, let it go. Sanat said, it's okay. It's not okay. It's just not okay.
I give Sana the benefit of doubt, one, because he was not present there. I think he would have reacted.
I don't think it's about being present there.
No. I'm telling you,
I really think it's about the mindset.
I'll tell you,
Are you
Nabila.
really telling me that Sanat is not educated with the number
Nabila,
of atrocities
I'll
that
tell you
have
something.
happened
I'll tell you something. What I believe.
Over the years, he would
Have you
have
heard
learned
what he's
something in
saying?
college.
No. I'll tell you what he's continuously saying. He's saying complimenting a woman beautiful is okay. He's not even crossed that statement. He's not crossed the chasm. He doesn't even know what he said. He's saying, I condemn him talking about the physicality, but I think calling someone beautiful is okay. He didn't call her beautiful.
I'll tell you what he said as soon as I came came in, as soon as he came in, I said, you know what would you say about all the Eve teasers? Would Eve teasers tease only beautiful women and the ones who are not so beautiful?
Yeah.
He said, first of all, we can't call them Eve teasers because we appreciate beauty.
You know, my
Oh my God. Okay. Sanat needs help. And I think as all women post this panel discussion, we will get him help.
Yeah.
Because
Sanat,
this is a state of mind.
You're not going anywhere.
This is a state of mind. A guy like, you know, I'm sure he comes from educated and a well-established family.
Of course, he comes from a very good college.
Yes.
I think,
I think you don't need to think. If you thought, you wouldn't have said.
I would say
if teasing is okay. You are saying you're encouraging. You're on national television and you're saying
I'm not
it's
encouraging.
Okay
I'm not
that's
encouraging.
what you
I'm
do
saying
at
it's being
college?
common. I say it's common.
You should
Teasing
condemn
is
it.
common.
You should condemn it.
We condemn it, but it doesn't go down. It doesn't diminish at all.
What do you mean by that?
People are like that. Men are like that. I think men need some. I agree. I do agree. Men needs to respect them. Men needs to respect women. I do agree.
Men are like
But
that. Why do we have to say men are like that? Men are like that because women have given the kind of room over so many years that women have stayed mum and not reacted. Men will no more be like that when women react. So when we react, when you react, then we won't see cases like this as many.
You know what? If Sanat, let me tell you something. If Sanat ever encounters a situation where there are a group of men backhandling him, pulling his pants down and raping him, this guy wouldn't even show his face again. He doesn't know what it feels to be actually teased and raped. He doesn't know that there are enough men like you, Sanat, who have gone through this and who are today seeking help and have never been able to come out of it. And let me tell you, men are a lot weaker compared to women because they're psychologically built that way. We as women, because we have the power to give birth, we have a certain amount of courage, certain amount of tenacity which men don't have. Even on Women's Day, I was at an IIT Delhi function, and I said, men need more love and attention because actually they're a little more insecure because they do not have the kind of power we have. But he doesn't know that there are enough men who get teased. Eve teasing is not something which is restricted to women alone. There are men who go through it. There are children who go through it. That's why the whole pedophile, you know.
And you can't be okay with it.
Well,
you cannot generalize it.
You should have said, you should have started by
it.
saying, I condemn it.
I do condemn it. I do condemn it.
So then
I
you're
do condemn it, but I don't
approach.
deny that it will diminish.
Nobody's
at the later
asking you
age.
whether it diminish. Nobody's asking you to
so
change
you
the
don't want
world
to diminish?
either.
You don't want to
Nobody's
diminish?
asking you to change the world.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Nobody's asking you to change the world. What you should do.
That's what I said.
Unless this patriarchal mindset changes, nothing is going to change.
Sanat.
And for that, you need to be the start, Sanat. You need to say, yes, Eve teasers are Eve teasers, not those who appreciate beauty. You cannot change their name. You cannot change what they do. If they're Eve teasing, they're Eve teasing.
Appreciate beauty without, what about the decent men that genuinely
as a friend, he needs help. And you better get him that.
No,
he needs help.
All right, Sanat, we're using you as a template.
No, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. There's a patient,
You're
I'll tell
pretty
you an
much
example.
what most of the rest of the society
Recently
talk that way.
I think you need another man in the studio. you know.
Why? Because you need power, you need muscle power.
Because you can see both the sides. You can see both the sides of these stories.
I have been on panel discussions.
I'd like
Nabila, I have been on panel discussion where I've been the only woman on her panel discussion yet because I
have a man for you on the
people
phone
say,
line.
you know what? You speak sense and I admire what you're saying. I don't think a man being here would have condemned him further and he would have been shooed out because
no, we have a man on the phone line. Let's see you want another man to side you or side what you said.
My God.
We have another man on the phone line. Let's see what Indrajit from Mumbai calling in has to say. Indrajit, please go on.
Hi, Somdutta and Uncle Lavanya. Hi for everybody.
Hi.
I am born brought up Bangalore. I'm a Sikh Punjabi, and when I was born, it was way back 1970s, and I've seen Bangalore very closely.
Right.
Personally well. I'm ashamed of his behavior. We were proud of him. He was the only officer who was proud and bold enough to pick up Gundu Rao's car at airport way back in 80s.
Yes.
This is what we had learned from him. And it is shocking he can disgrace a woman to this extent. It is cheap on his part what he has done, part one. Part two, I have seen Constable very recently, 2 months back at Imperial Bangalore, which is at Mysore Road. I was with my family along with me. This was midnight 1:30. I saw one human molesting a lady there, and one single constable of a traffic was able to grab him and put him into the car when most of the so-called community-dominated area of Muslim, they were trying to restrict him to do so. I was proud of seeing that police officer to do such a beautiful work. And I went in and I had texted this to Mr. Hitendra, who is the commissioner of your Karnataka, of Bangalore, Traffic Commissioner Mr. Hitendra. But I didn't see any result. He's been awarded for something of what he has done good for women there.
Right. Right. Indrajit, I'd like to ask you, do you think what he said, Sangliana said, was all right and was just a compliment?
No,
we
it
shouldn't
was
read
really
into
disgusting. He had no right to say this. He had no right to say this. I think so. The kind of candor and respect he holds in many of the minds who were young at those time when he was commissioner here, we have greatest regard to Mr. Sangliana. Whenever I tweet to Mr. Sunil Kumar, who's the commissioner, I always name, we got to have people something like Sangliana there in police.
All that we know, which is why we're here discussing it, because it's HT Sangliana. If it was anybody else, we would have ignored, right? Because
Exactly.
Yeah.
We look forward for people like Mr. Sangliana, you see. We always look forward. Bangaloreans, we are very different kind of human when it comes to Mumbai
thank
city
you so
or
much.
Delhi.
Thank you so much, Indrajit, for joining us. We got your point. You adore and looked up to Sangliana. We know he's actually heartbroken to know that a guy like Sangliana with his...
The kind of respect that this man used to command at one point of time has all just gone down with this one statement.
There was a movie made for his bravery and courage.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. He's sick. He's not well in his mind and he needs help. Because the same man who demonstrated, you can see there's a dual personality, right? Same man who demonstrated courage, who had the ability to go all out there, today has lost his mind. Because he wouldn't be standing on a podium where a woman of her worth is getting felicitated and talk about her physical attributes and talk about a woman, what should a woman do?
A man like him, I highly doubt would ever think a woman is stronger than him. He's always going to think of himself as superior because he looks at you as beautiful, not beautiful. He's basically objectified, like Lavanya said. Beautiful, not beautiful. What do you say? Vulnerable, strong. Sensitive girls. Nobody's going to go ask a guy if he's in Covent Park alone, but if a girl is in Covent Park alone, they'll go ask. So might as well give in. You might as well keep quiet. You might as well not react. That's his narrative.
Also, everything that Sanat has said is making me realize that it starts young. Our educational institutions are not telling them that this is wrong, this is not okay. So many centuries of everything that we've been fed, nobody's telling him otherwise. For us, telling him, and he's all like, oh wow, these girls are ganging up on me.
And I wish I had two more guys to support me. Why do you need guys to support you? We're not having a fist fight, are we?
Not just your school. I think it all starts
at home. At home, your school, your college, why aren't they telling you?
I'm just concerned about the kind of people he hangs out with because I think, it's not the...
See?
They're fine.
His attitude has...
So you're not fine. So basically you're not fine.
She spoke about her friends, I said they're fine.
So you're not fine.
You're not fine.
I'm fine.
So that means his friends are like him because they're all fine.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I said.
That's the problem.
You being his friend, I would urge you because these are the kind of people who tomorrow go rogue.
Yeah.
Because a lot of... Let me tell you...
I wouldn't go rogue, I would respect.
No, that's the
problem. I can't go rogue.
From whatever you
that's maybe your opinion. You're already being judgmental about me.
Your opinion.
So
I can already see everyone.
I want to clarify,
your
just
opinion,
like what he clarified.
Your opinion.
I go to institutions to teach.
I respect women.
So I see, I can read from people's faces what they're
Sanat,
actually...
can I tell you something? Your opinion, we've created an opinion based on what you said. We didn't just come up with an opinion just like that on you, right?
I was giving you benefit of doubt, understand
why
what
we're
you said.
repeatedly saying this to you is we know that you respect women. I'm sure because you came in with your classmate who is a girl. The girl feels safe around you. She brought you along. So, both of you all tagged along together. Obviously, if she thought you were any scary, she wouldn't have tagged along with you. So, we understand and we know that you respect women. But I'll tell you what, the start point is you need to start condemning. You can't just respect and keep quiet.
No, I didn't condemn the word you used, physique. I didn't condemn that. I totally agree with that.
No, but you also said that it's okay. You need to forgive him. Don't hype it up. We will hype it up. You cannot ask us not to hype it up. We have to hype it up.
Yeah, you can.
No, so
you can hype it up.
1 second.
You know what? Let's leave poor Sanat alone.
Let's
leave poor Sanat. Sanat will leave you alone. We understand. Like Sol said, you're possibly young. Maybe you didn't know how to phrase your words. We do know you respect women, but I really wish that this is a learning for you and for all the people who are watching this. That it's not just okay to be. Please don't rebuttal because we really sided you with this.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
I need not learn because I know it.
Stand up for what is wrong. Don't stop and
This is the problem. You understand? You understand? This is the problem.
Stand up for what's
hold
wrong.
on.
Like
I know that. I will.
It's not a man or a woman
Irritated
thing.
now.
The thing is this.
Nothing wrong with me, I'm fine.
When
Why
any
is that
guy or a
attitude?
girl, even a guy or a girl who says, I have nothing to learn, that's the full stop of his life.
Yeah.
True.
Because you do not stop learning till the day you go to your grave. If this guy says that I do not need to learn, there is a big problem. And let me tell you. You said,
You
I know
can't
it.
say and then unsay. You can't say and unsay.
This
You can't say and then go back on your word every time.
So I have to.
Sanat, this is not
But it becomes
personal.
more personal.
This is not personal.
We don't know you, we don't get you. No,
Sanat, you know what? You need to show some
Sanat,
maturity if
Sanat.
you don't want
Yes,
people to get
get
personal. Show
personal,
some
yes,
maturity.
maturity.
As a man, if you really call yourself a man,
Be a
be
man.
a man. Man
Act
up
like
and
a
say,
man.
maybe I said it wrong. Maybe that's not what I wanted to express. What I mean is this. Don't say, no, I don't want to learn, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. You bet a lot of women here are much older than you, so it's nice, sometimes to listen. It's fine. We'll step into a quick break, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
कैसी लगी वेज बिरयानी?
ठीक है, लेकिन तुम्हारी मम्मी वाला टेस्ट नहीं।
माँ मैंने कुछ मिस कर दिया। मैंने चावल देखे, सब्जियाँ भी देखी। घी उसे कैसे देखते हैं?
घी देखते ही तुम्हें पता चल जाएगा, वो दानेदार होना चाहिए।
GRB घी, शुद्ध दानेदार देसी घी। तुम्हारी मम्मी आई। GRB घी, शुद्ध दानेदार देसी घी।
Meenakshi TMT and structural steel. रिश्ता अपनों का, रिश्ता भरोसे का।
If my dad had all this elite, he would have got me a king.
Elite Matrimony, exclusive service for the elite from Bharat Matrimony.
ज्यादा हमारे पास सबसे ज्यादा अनमोल चीज क्या है? हमारे रिश्ते सबसे अनमोल, और इन्हीं अनमोल रिश्तों के लिए बनी है क्लासिक जुपिटर क्लासिक। उमंगे नहीं, जो दे और भी ज्यादा, वक्त के साथ चले पर कभी न बदले। TVS जुपिटर, ज्यादा का फायदा।
Welcome back. Well, going back, let's give some time to Sanat for Sanat to sink in. I love the fact that you said to learn and you nodded. Okay, I'm glad. There's some change. Lavanya, if you can tell me, he had another chance there, Sangliana, to express his apology. He could have just said, and it was not even our channel. It was another platform that he had. He could have really gone back on his words and said, you know what, I'm sorry if that's really offended, because this is hurtful to a mother, Nirbhaya's mother. It's so painful. I'm sure by now she didn't understand the statement when he made it there at that platform. But after all the outrage now, she definitely knows what he's spoken. I'm sure she's not okay with it. I hope somebody goes back to get her reaction on this. We are trying ourselves, but otherwise, a lost opportunity, second opportunity where he thought it was not necessary.
It's baffling that he cannot understand what he said and why people are offended about it. I just can't understand how he cannot understand what he's saying is incorrect. He is objectifying women, and we are all more upset with him because we expected better from him. A person of his stature was not supposed to make that statement. He's supposed to be teaching the society the right and wrong, and he was also protecting the society for quite a long time till he retired, right? He's somebody we looked up to, like one of our callers was saying. That is why it is more upsetting for us. If it was somebody, some random person on the street.
Yeah, wouldn't have mattered so much because he doesn't influence.
We would still, even if it was somebody in the street making this statement and we would have watched it, we would be appalled, we would be upset, we would be talking about it.
And we would
amongst
all
all
of trash him right there.
Yes.
The reason to why the women here did not speak up at that platform was because it was HT Sangliana. And that could have also been a reason why they didn't speak.
A very respectable platform.
Yeah,
so many
a respectable platform, a respectable man saying it. You would think twice, should I oppose him, not oppose him,
First you'll be in shock.
Did he say that?
Understand?
Yes.
When you've idolized someone and the person reacts in an extraordinary way, the first thing that people do is they get into a shock. They want to digest if it's really true, or he's going to come back and try to apologize and make up for it. So they waited. They gave him a chance. The silence was a way to give him a chance. When he did not kind of, take advantage of the chance, is why people said there is something wrong and therefore this needs to be corrected. And I'm glad we're having the show, is because if we do not condemn such things and we do not vocalize our concerns about these things, there is a society at risk. and we can't let that happen. We can't.
This is actually a great sign that people are speaking about it. It's all over. Women are actually condemning it. If it wasn't that way, we would have been worried for the society. We're glad that it's progressing somewhere. This just shows signs of progress. Neha, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's still a little appalling that even after all of this, after having given them a second platform to apologize, he still goes on to say that we are oversensitizing the matter. I mean, how can, after having all of this done, after having 4 daughters of his own, had he ever even for a second, thought of maybe putting his daughter in the shoes of Nirbhaya, ever once maybe spared a thought? Well, at least now, after all of this weather, of course, I mean, he probably reconsiders. I think for starters, Nabila, it's not even digested.
He said something like give in, women should give in. So he thinks
women should surrender when they're overpowered.
Yes.
Exactly.
So he thinks being raped is better than being murdered.
No,
so you rather give in.
He said it exactly, like I know, quote unquote, if you're being overpowered, it's better to give in so that more lives can be saved.
And then later, defend it. I mean,
and then he said you can follow up and file a case later to manage the situation.
Yeah, after you've been raped, after you've been, of course, mentally tortured, harassed. I mean, in the likelihood that you survive an incident like that.
Cop speaking like that, I don't know what sort of example we're setting here. All the fight that Nirbhaya and Nirbhaya's parents and family have put in her case, and the many more who are struggling for justice. We call every other girl Nirbhaya now. Every other girl who's a victim of rape, we call her Nirbhaya. That's the kind of struggle that she went through and the family went through, are still going through. And here he trivialized it by just saying Nirbhaya's mom is so beautiful. Look at her physique. No wonder the beautiful. No wonder.
How does he associate Nirbhaya?
Basically, indirectly saying no wonder she got raped.
And no, how does one associate physique with beauty? I mean, beauty is something that comes from the inside. How does he just, go on to associate physique with beauty on a platform, standing there in front of so many women and, not
Absolutely.
realizing
Nirbhaya's mother is doing so much good work. He could have said she's a beautiful person.
Yep.
That's such a big difference to what he said, that she has a beautiful physique, and you can imagine what her daughter would have been like. And I'll complete the sentence for you. Fill in the blanks. No wonder she got raped. What else does it mean?
Absolutely.
Right. What else does it mean?
That's going back to the
Dinesh
point.
joining us from Rajajinagar. Dinesh, please go on.
Hello?
Yes, please go on, Dinesh. Can you hear us? Okay, we'll come back to Dinesh on that. You were saying.
Yeah, so the thing was that he was like, getting raped is fine, don't get murdered, come and speak out about it, and
After
later we
your
don't.
life is more precious, no matter what happens to you.
And then later we don't even get justice. Then what is the use of we not fighting, and we not fighting over those people who were trying to assault us? And
so he's basically picking examples from Animal Kingdom, where they give it, where yeah.
Life is precious, very precious, but that does not mean that women have to, let somebody else assault them. That is not correct. We are not, it is incorrect of him to say.
Saying don't put up a fight, because then you might
actually going back to it, just thinking of that horrific night itself, the reason, that the entire issue itself became such a big deal was because she did not give in, because she fought, her friend fought for her. And that is why, and for him to be making a statement like that and saying, give in, I mean, is that even right, considering that her mother was right there? It's because she stood up for herself. It's because she tried battling all of those so-called powerful men that overpowered her.
Why she's become the Nirbhaya to all of us.
Absolutely.
Because she put up a fight. If she didn't put up a fight, she would have been gang raped and thrown on the floor. She survived. She got back. There wouldn't have been any talk about it, right? Because she put up a fight, she died with dignity at least. She put up a fight. The way she was killed was only because she put up a fight.
I think everybody will. I think everybody will. It's a
Any woman would put up a fight.
Not just a woman or a man. Any human being put in a situation where they're being overpowered and they're fighting for their dignity or life. It's like asking Mr. Sangliana, if there is a knife to your throat, are you going to, because of the fear of death, say, okay, I'm not going to do anything, right? And wait, if you die or if you don't die, if you get slit or if you don't, so you take that risk. Is that what he's saying? What is the guarantee that somebody doesn't fight and they're still kept alive? Oh, it doesn't happen. There are so many cases across India where rapes get reported every other day, where they have been actually, every other minute. If that's the kind of statistics we have, imagine there are cases where they have been actually, they have been morphine has been used on them, so they're completely, almost numb, like they don't know. After that, the rape has been conducted and they still have been killed.
Drugged Women, the
They've
girls are
drugged
drugged and where they
And
have
yes,
absolutely no.
And they have been killed recently. They were, they have taken a stone and smashed her face. Why? Because she had said a no to the guy's advancement of saying he was in love.
And what, kids and children resist or what? What do they know?
What do
they
do?
to them?
Why do we give them this opportunity to, overpower us? I mean, even considering the kind of statements that he's made, it's in a way it's because, we've been keeping quiet over all these years.
That childish statement. I mean, I've heard these kind of statements from a few of my college friends back in the days, like, really back in the days. In school, you would say something like that. Looking at the animal kingdom, the tigers and the lions, you might as well give in, huh? That's how, that's pretty much the kind of...
They say, right, when you're aging, what typically happens is the mind becomes like a child. And it's true. No, it's true. These are all research that have been done, conducted and validated. And if you had any psychiatrist on this panel, they would have told you that it typically tends that you lose the balance of logic, right? And therefore you speak things. As I said, it's a verbal paralysis.
He should be kept out of public platforms.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
He should be kept out
That's
of public
what I said. People
platforms.
like them, if they, and because he's not able to even analyze whether he's done right or wrong. So it just goes to show that his sense of logic is completely dimmed down. His analysis has gone down. So not only should he be shunned from public platform, he needs help.
But you know what's on the fact that our Neha has gone and spoken to him, and other reporters gone and got his reaction, and this is over 2-3 days.
Right.
He still hasn't got that sort of realization that oops, I
That's
may have said something wrong.
That's what I'm telling you. He's lost his sense of realization. See, the reason...
Does not he have a family to advise him?
Have you seen
how
kids
is it that his daughters have kept quiet, Nabila, through all of this? How is it that his daughters seem disgusted? Utterly disgusted.
Let's quickly take in Dinesh. Do we have Dinesh on the line from Rajati Nagar? Go on.
Yes, madam.
Yes,
hello.
sir, please.
Madam, one thing I have to tell you. Hello.
Yes, go on.
Madam, Nirbhaya is not a daughter of Sangliana. That's why he has given a statement like that. Second thing, he doesn't know. He's always, I think, look the physique of a woman. That's why he's stating some statement about the woman. And he's a shameless person. And he's nothing but a paper tiger when he was in the room. And he was actually, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಜನ ಸೋಲಿಸಿದ್ರು 2ನೇ ಸತಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಿಂತಾಗ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡೋ ಹುಚ್ಚಾಟಕ್ಕೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಸಂಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದವರು ಅಂತ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬಾರ್ದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸಂಜ್ಞಾನ ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಣ ನೋಡೋ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು ನಿರ್ಭಯ ಅವ್ರ ಮಗಳಲ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಮಗಳಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರೋದು.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dinesh, for calling in. Shameless. Dinesh says Sangliana is absolutely shameless for making that statement. Kevin calling in from Kamanarli, right? Please go on, Kevin.
Hello, yes. I was actually very surprised when I was actually having a look at the news as soon as I woke up, because I generally did the night shift.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, what I was actually basically looking at the whole situation here is, I mean, see, this man has seen so much of life, and he's generally seen 100 cases. He's dealt with 100 cases. He's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. All he actually tried to do was, he just made a statement, and that statement, even if he had to make that statement back in abroad, the women would have generally been broad-minded in looking at that statement, not in a bad way, but in a good way, or in an okay way. But technically, if you generally look at it, I don't think what he generally did was wrong, in fact. I mean, he just actually spoke about the woman's physique, okay. He's seen generally big-made people in his life, small-made people. He's dealt with the bad. And he must have generally meant something like that, stating that, okay, I mean, this person looks nice and tough-looking. He must even basically mention something like that, because she's basically tough-looking. But especially the news channels, they like to basically highlight something like this and
Kevin, can I interrupt
cause
you,
more
please?
trouble
Kevin,
and
can you
generally
hear me?
add fuel to fire. He's an elderly man.
Kevin,
he's generally a very God-fearing person, for what I generally read all over the place. And he's got 4 daughters of himself.
Kevin, can I interrupt you? Did you just say that if this was spoken anywhere abroad, it would have been acceptable?
I mean, because people would have generally been broad-minded over there. They would have just taken this like a pinch of salt.
Do you know what happened to Mr. Trump when he just came?
I have like a rebuttal to that statement. One, number two.
I mean, I wouldn't contradict with my statement, but technically, yes. I mean, they would just generally have to look at it like, okay, the man is actually praising a woman.
Sir, a man is actually praising a woman's physique. And a woman who has her daughter killed, and killed because of 5 men who were lusting over her and raped her and murdered her. And to a woman like that, a mother of a girl who was raped and killed, he says, your physique is so great, I can imagine what your daughter would have been.
What does that even mean?
I mean, do you think that he would have actually really meant something like that?
So if he did
After
not
all the
mean
pain
it,
that
Mr.
woman has
Kevin,
gone through,
Mr.
I don't
Kevin,
think he must have said it in a
Mr.
bad
Kevin,
way.
okay, I will buy your statement that he did not mean it. Do you agree with me, but that he should not no more be addressing anywhere at a public platform, especially when it concerns women? He should stay out of public life because he cannot control his thoughts or his tongue. Do you agree with me?
He must have just made that statement. I mean, I know it's a little confusing, but he's an elderly chap. I don't think he'd have had anything bad in his mind to actually use something like that.
I think, yeah, he's not. Kevin, have you watched the soundbite?
I'm sorry?
Have you
Did you watch and listen to what Mr. Sangliana said
I mean,
3
as I
times
mentioned,
over?
I just woke up and I was so sad to see this poor man that generally served this
Mr.
place for so
Kevin,
many
why
years.
are you aggravating us? Please
Protecting
do
women.
your homework and research and call us, please, because we're really exhausted condemning this act here or this statement, and you're pretty much saying that it's okay.
Ask him about
It's
the
not okay.
surrendering part, Nabila.
Kevin, you wouldn't say this to anybody who's suffered. Would you really say that to somebody who's, and would you think it's okay to say it to somebody who's lost a child to rape?
Dealt with so much?
Yeah.
No, but then again, I'm looking at the man being an elderly man
Okay.
who's seen so much of life.
Okay,
that
dealt
makes it
with
worse.
so many bad cases in his life. Seen so many bad murders.
So
or
then in that
seen so
case,
many
he should
bad
be all the more
stuff. He's just
sensitive, don't
basically
you
bringing
think?
up something just to save public or whatever.
If he's seen all of that, that means he's sensitized. He knows what life is, and he knows
Being
he
a
cannot
cop.
talk rubbish like that. If he's seen that many cases, he should have been a little more sensitive. That's an obvious, that's a given. Police officers are known to be sensitive. They are supposed to be. Well, there are a good bunch of them who aren't. But police officers are sensitized because they come across cases like this day in and day out. And that's why you go to a police officer with a complaint, he will react to you. You go to somebody else with a complaint, they're just going to listen to you with sorrow. But a police officer will react to you. He will try to help you because he understands the gravity of what you're feeling and the situation for that matter.
Correct. But then again, if you look at this man's history when he was actually serving this place, he had absolutely no bad remarks on him. He's never made statements like this in his life before.
So
And at
in
this point
the
in time,
same
if he did
statement,
make a
Kevin,
statement
that is
like
why
that,
it's
he
more
must have had
shocking.
something behind his mind to make a statement.
Isn't
like
that why it's more
Kevin, are
shocking?
you really trying to say a criminal who's once a criminal and always a criminal is okay? So one murder and then 3 murders, same thing. It's
No, that's not what I'm actually trying to say here. I'm just looking at an elderly man just being brought down to bits and pieces on TV. Because technically, if you look at it, he just must have made a statement with nothing
Kevin,
bad
okay,
in his
can
mind.
I tell you
One second.
something?
Let me ask him about the surrendering.
If this man had any sense, something called common sense, which is not so common, if he had any sense, he had 3 opportunities to just give an apology. Just say, not to us, not to the women on the panel, not to anybody who's outraged here, but just to the woman, just to the mother of Nirbhaya, Miss Usha, that I'm sorry, I did not mean it that way. If you are offended, I beg your pardon. That's all. That's all he's possibly supposed to say. Why did he not say it? Why is he defending his
Why is he
statement?
not apologizing is because he must have got the feeling that he has not said anything wrong, not did anything wrong, because he had
Kevin,
nothing
one
bad,
second,
no
one
bad
second.
intentions
Nabila, if I
by
can ask
saying
Kevin
or
a
making
question.
a statement like that.
Okay,
So
Kevin,
that's why I
coming to
think
the
he's generally
second part,
looking
Kevin, coming to the second part of his statement, where he's actually gone on to say that a woman should surrender if she is being overpowered, and she should actually surrender at the point and deal with it later. If you are still going to back this man, then I mean, clearly we suggest that there's something wrong with you as well.
That's a good one. No, I'm not generally saying that.
Kevin,
That's a good
nothing's
one. That's
funny
what
here.
you're
I'll tell you what,
matter.
there's nothing funny here. Can I ask you something? I mean,
ahead.
or let me tell you, since you've just woken up and you've sort of, you
Seen
just
TV,
got your
yes.
realization or revelation, I don't know what that is, but if you heard this statement about somebody, Sangliana, saying that if a woman is raped, she should give in because life is precious.
Overpowered,
If you're overpowered, then you rather give in instead of reacting
And file a
because
case later.
life is precious. Would you back his statement?
No, I wouldn't back his statement.
Okay, that's
a
it.
good point
That's
that
it.
you
Hold
actually
on to your
brought up.
thought, Kevin.
Okay,
Kevin,
no, I'm
we're
gonna
really
contradict my
enjoying
own
the talk
statement
with you
since you
because we
brought up
want
this
more
point.
people like you to talk to us because we really want to send out a message. You're really one of them you're helping us send out that message to people like you. Please stay online with us. We slip into a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Kevin, are you on the line with us? Do we have Kevin on the line?
So,
Yeah, Kevin,
yes,
you can
your
hear us.
point was, bring up your point. I mean, you generally said, you were just saying something.
Yeah, Kevin, I was just saying that would you agree when Sangliana says that women, if they are overpowered and anybody who has been being raped, if they're overpowered, they might as well just give in, don't react because life is, he didn't say life is precious, I'm adding to it, giving him some benefit of doubt there, but he says just give in. He asks the girls, particularly since he was addressing a platform with women, he says give in. When you're getting raped, give in.
Surrender.
Okay. Now, when he actually made a statement of that, what do you think he must have had in his mind to make a statement of that? Also keeping in mind that this man has dealt with 100 cases in his life before. Life is precious. Yes, that's a lovely statement that he generally made there.
I made that statement. He did not make it.
What do you feel? Why did he actually make a statement?
Why don't you tell us? I mean, from a man's point of view, exactly. As a man, you tell us.
What a couple of our panelists want to ask. Lavanya, please start.
Kevin, as a man, you need to give us an explanation. What was going through this man's mind when he made this statement?
Okay.
You should tell us. We as women, we are not unable to understand the stupidity of this statement, I would say.
Yes, it is. It's not a very wise statement, but then again, this man is an elderly chap, seen so many cases in his life. Again, I'll have to repeat this. Now, the reason why am I actually saying something like this is because he must have seen 100 cases in his life with the same thing, girls getting raped, girls getting killed, and all that. And then he's generally gone there and judged the situation and said, okay, this girl has put up a fight. This is what generally happened to her. This girl did not put up a fight, and that's why she was able to actually come here and to catch those criminals. He must have actually had something like that in mind.
Do you really think, Kevin, that it is, if a girl survives, it's because she did not put up a fight, or she just got lucky that those who raped her were happy with just raping her and didn't want to kill the evidence? Because there are, if you really watch TV, you know, when you wake up, maybe you should get a strong cup of filter coffee to kind of awaken your mind as well. Yeah. So what typically happens is, no girl would be lying down there and willingly getting raped, hoping that I will live and then file the case and see my criminals go to jail. It's natural, if you are overpowered by anybody, you would put up a fight because that's the most natural instinct to do. You only don't put up a fight when you have been intoxicated or you have been drugged. It's natural to put up a fight. So if what he said, and let me tell you the context again, he said he called Miss Asha, the mother of Nirbhaya, who went through huge amount of pain and you know, was able to deal with it, the loss of a young child.
That's sad.
You know, calling her that, you know, I can imagine that the daughter would have been beautiful because the mother herself is beautiful and has a beautiful physique. After saying that, he says, my advice to people is that if you are overpowered, just give in and you know, so that you can live on and then see through the case later.
So indirectly, was he hinting that Nirbhaya should have given in on that day
Absolutely.
instead of putting up a fight?
Absolutely.
I mean, Kevin, you know, coming to you from a man's point of view, please, I mean, go ahead, justify, tell us what this statement means.
If this was your, you know, before you advocate anyone, see, we all give him a benefit of doubt is why we are trying to debate here today. The question to you is this: if this was your sister and your mother was on a platform like this, what would you have done? Given him a benefit of doubt that this man has seen life, or thought that this man has seen life, therefore an action like this from him is not only just condemnable, but also he needs to be taken to task. Because he was an idol who's setting the wrong example that I can get away doing anything.
And the reason that it's actually become this big is because of the kind of stature that he holds. It's because
Absolutely.
It's because of how respected he was.
Kevin, if you said it very honestly, the people around you would have been bothered, but none of us would have been even remotely affected. Also, now that there's social media, anybody says it, too bad for you. You have, all the social media platforms to name and shame those who do not show any sort of respect. So be careful, all of you there. It's not just HT Sangliana, but the reason why we're having a debate at a national news channel is because of the stature that Sangliana carries.
Correct. He must have made a mistake by actually using a statement.
Okay, so forgive him?
Yes,
Forgive
he
him?
made a mistake.
Okay, you want us to forgive him? You want us to forgive him?
So badly.
Kevin, you want us to forgive him?
Yes, I think so.
Then he should say sorry, no?
Correct. But
Then?
I mean, he doesn't want to generally accept that he generally
Then why should we
said
forgive
something.
him?
that make it worse?
First of all, it's not our forgive him. Why should anybody forgive him? Why should Nirbhaya's mother forgive him?
And Kevin, we're not
If
asking
he-
for
if
an
he doesn't
apology.
As a man
We
that
are not
has
asking
been
for an
in the
apology.
place for so long,
My
and
point
he did
is-
a fantastically good job, and accidentally made a statement. He's never been on TV for some bad remarks like this before. And
Kevin,
we
I
can't
think,
penalize him for that.
Kevin,
been
please,
more on TV than
very
not.
honestly speaking, Kevin, HT Sangliana is possibly the only commissioner who's even out till today after years, possibly a decade of his tenure of being the police and commissioner. He's still, even till today, comes before cameras and is very media friendly and talks on all public platforms, supports a lot of causes, does all of that. So a man like this, who does not have control over his senses, in the sense what he thinks and what he speaks, is a threat, don't you think?
Yeah, people do make mistakes.
Okay, we'll
Human
forgive.
beings, he's
We'll
getting
forgive
old,
you.
he's
We'll forgive
elderly.
you, Kevin. We'll forgive. We'll
least
forgive.
he-
We'll forgive you because we are nobody to forgive Sangliana there. The Nirbhaya's mother should forgive him.
And
we are nobody
aren't
to
asking
forgive.
for an apology. We're asking for an apology to apologize to the mother, at least if not to us, if not to the 100 women, 1,000 women
Who are
that he
offended.
offended, at least
I
to the
think that
mother.
will come up next. In the next half an hour or 1 hour, if you'll keep
Oh,
bringing
brilliant,
him
Kevin!
down, he's
I
definitely
think
gonna come up
you
there and
should be
apologize.
Sangliana's media advisor.
Actually.
Yeah, you should. Why don't you contact him and tell him, sir, I think it's nicer, and you'll be setting the right example if you come around and apologize. This is not an
God,
ego
I
battle
don't
here.
get
Let me
this
tell you very
involved.
honestly, Kevin, it's not an ego battle. We're nobody to strip him of all his honors and his hard work and all the
Correct.
accolades
That's
that
exactly
he's
what I
got
mean.
for
We
himself.
respected him
We're
up until
we're
today
really
as
nobody
well.
to strip him off that. But what he said here, unless and until apology comes from him, we'll continue to look at him in that light, shady. You know
Then
what
I
shady?
think
The
he's
word
definitely
shady
going
means.
to apologize, and I'm sure you must be watching this.
What
Watching
we're
the
trying
news
to
at the
tell
moment.
is we are
And he
disappointed
knows,
in
okay,
him.
people
We are
furious
disappointed.
with
We
regards
are
to
very
what
disappointed
statement he's
because
made,
it's
and
him.
I'm sure he's definitely going to apologize.
Okay, Kevin,
for it.
thank you so much. You can be his media advisor. Please tell him, sir, go apologize. And we hopefully get that in half an hour, like you said. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. I'll slip into a quick break before I take the last comments of our panelists. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, we have a barrage of reactions coming in. People trying, of course, the most amusing one would be of Hucha Venkat. We'd really like to, like all our panelists, to see what Hucha Venkat has to say about Sangliana, a man who sort of takes it upon himself to teach the wrong the right. Let's listen to what Hucha Venkat, our local star, has to say about Sangliana's statement.
ನನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಇದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಸಾಂಗ್ಲಿಯಾನ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಾವೇನಂತ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನಿರ್ಭಯ ಅವರ ತಾಯಿನೇ ಹೆಂಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಿರ್ಭಯ ಹೆಂಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತನಾ ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಆ ಗಂಡಿಗೆ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು ಆ ಗಂಡು ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಬೇಕು ಕೆಟ್ಟದಾಗೆ ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಫೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಆ ಹೆಣ್ಣಿಗೇನಂತೀನಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಅವನ್ನ ಸಾಯಿಸ್ಬಿಡಮ್ಮ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಮನ್ಸು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನಮ್ಮಂಥ ಗಂಡಸರನ್ನೇ ಅಲ್ಲಾಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು ಸಾಯಿಸೋದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಸಾಯಿಸಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ಕೇಸ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಹೆಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಅತ್ಯಾಚಾರ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಆ ಹೆಣ್ಣು ಆ ಗಂಡನ್ನು ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನೋ ಲಾ ಶುಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ಪನಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಹರ್ when a girl's life is being spoiled by a guy and that girl kills that person. Yendi Sangliana avare. What is this?
As hilarious as he looks, what he said made a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
He feels the pain. Somebody like him, like Hucha Venkat, and they literally call him Hucha, right, for his attics.
Yeah.
Hucha Venkat realized that the statement what Sangliana made was wrong. But Sangliana didn't think he was wrong. That's the funny part. Right, I'd like all of our panelists to give in your last statements. I'd really like to know your views and what is it that you want to start with henceforth, considering we've condemned this and we've named and shamed Mr. Sangliana. A lot of people may not have been happy because they think this man is a man of honor. Look at the way the television, journalists have ripped him apart, panelists have ripped him apart. But I'd like you to here to justify why we were seated here doing something like that about a man who really has the kind of badge of honor all these years, but today sort of missed out or lost out. Lavanya.
Not just Sangliana, for any person in the society, my request is stop normalizing assault, verbal or physical assault on women. Stop normalizing that and stop blaming the victims.
Right. I'll come back to you, Neha. Go over, Som.
I think, first of all, it's very appalling. I think it's extremely sad that a man of his repute could be on a public platform, and actually, to me, it's bigger than abuse to what he has done and said. And I think the worst part is that he doesn't have any remorse and he did not apologize. I would like to, give you a lot of kudos for actually bringing this up, because it's upon the media and the normal society to highlight what is wrong. And if we do not correct and we do not get appalled by these things, then the society is at a risk. Man or woman alike, abuse, teasing, any kind of assault is unacceptable, and that should be condemned at any given point in time. And I also would urge people, if you see this happening in front of you, do not be a mute spectator. It is not only the media's responsibility to bring such kind of issues in the forth and condemn it. It is upon all of us to take action if we see something is going wrong. Wrongs should be right, and Mr. Sangliana needs to apologize. Else, rip him off his honor, because just because he's done something right before does not justify his actions now.
Look at the kind of callers that are coming in, Som. I mean, look at what everybody's saying. Give him a chance, you guys. I mean, why you like, stripping him naked?
See,
pretty
all
much.
the people who have seen everything, who have actually heard him speak, are not going to, side him, because they know what has happened. There are some who have half-baked information. The problem with most of this, people today is that they know half-truth. And they go by what they hear, and they, they pretty much kind of say, okay, this person has done this, therefore they cannot do this, therefore give them benefit of doubt. If Kevin would have, if this guy has actually, let's say, he would have molested a woman, would Kevin have said, no, he's seen 100 of cases, so therefore it is okay for him to go ahead and molest? No. We think speaking is okay. Doing is not. Speaking is the initiation of doing.
Absolutely.
Because it's an articulation of the mind that showcases a person's thinking and his ability to act. I not only condemn this, I worry about people like Mr. Sangliana in this society. They need to be taken care of. How? We all need to take a call.
And do you think this is justifiable that we sat here and spoke about this man who's so honorable?
This is not just justifiable. This is what needs to be done. I'm glad you guys are conducting the way a media should be conducting itself, because it is the role of the media to highlight what's wrong and try to inculcate in the mind of the people, or rather caution them and make them conscious about what's going on and help them decide better. So
I'll just hold you here. We'll quickly take in Rahul calling in from Bannerghatta, who wants to tell us something. Rahul, please go on.
Yeah, I respect ladies.
Sorry?
I respect ladies, I said.
Right, Rahul. Thank you. What would you say about Sangliana here? That was just hilarious and just the right statement, just the right thing that he had to say.
Short and sweet. So sometimes when you don't know what to say, learn from Rahul. Only stick to a few lines. That's it.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Actually, when you don't know what to say, you rather not say something stupid. You just say the right thing. Just stick to that and stop. It would have been more, he would have been appropriate, more well behaved if he had said just a few words and not extended it to being all cool. I think he thought he was cool. by saying something like that?
I think he's lost his mind.
I think he just
That's
doesn't
not
realize
cool.
and it just
That's
came
what I'm saying.
out.
I think he thought, Lavanya, I think he thought he was giving a solution to women in distress. I think he thought it was
I think
cool.
he's lost his
It was
mind.
advice? Was that,
I don't know what was he thinking.
Yeah.
That's exactly my question. What was he
Nabila,
thinking?
don't justify this. He lost his mind because no man in a sane mind would stand up on a stage and not only objectify women but also be insensitive to their situation and then try to give solution which is unacceptable.
Yeah,
both
maybe
in
he thought
terms
this
of
was
law.
a solution to say that women should give in
A
if they're
man of
overpowered.
law, a man of law is talking about giving in. Then are you saying that he should be allowing all the criminals he has nabbed so far and say, you know what, give in? No, I don't think he's in sane mind. He needs help, and that's it. There is no justification to what he's done. If he apologized, I would have believed that there is still some sanity left in him, given that he's unable to correlate between right and wrong, and that typically happens between for a child between 2 or 3 years old. I'll tell you what happens. You tell them it's called reverse psychology.
Right.
You tell them what you're doing is wrong, and they're going to come back and say, no, I'm going to do that. It's fun. I think he's gone to that level. Maybe he needs to be tested.
I think so too. I totally think so too. Considering he's not taken any of the opportunities to apologize. Anu, what would you say?
Yeah, even though we have given him a lot of platforms to like say what he could have corrected himself, but still he made a point to go deep into it and say we are overreacting, we are oversensitizing, and we are being narrow-minded, and saying all that would making his image even more worse. So he could have actually repaired it, but he decided not to, and he stayed that way. So maybe he should try and get his sense back and say what is right and wrong and get it right on the platform.
Let's quickly take in, we have a caller calling in. Ram, please go on, Ram from HSR.
Good evening. What Sangliana has told is condemnable. It is not at all acceptable. He has to apologize. He has to apologize. There is no other way for him.
Absolutely, Ram. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's quickly listen in. I'd like to, I mean, we were struggling to get that, but we finally nailed it. We've got exactly what Sangliana said about giving in. Can we listen into that insensitive statement there?
If we happen to be attacked by miscreants like that, you scream as loud as you can. Grab the man, scratch his face and inflict injury as much as you can, so that at the time of investigation it will be helpful to identify the culprits through their wounds. And also, if you happen to be so overpowered to the extent of disabling you to assault or to do any physical resistance, and if it is a question of life and death, you should surrender, because surrendering will not cost your life or take your life away, but it will help in catching him later on and then preventing him from repeating it by inflicting strong punishment by the courts. And also I have to advise them to, if we happen to be attacked,
Well, that's pretty much what he said, more or less, right? Can one of you repeat it?
He also said the parts where, you know, a woman has to scratch, a woman has to scream and all of that part, which is a very valid advice. You know, he said at the time of investigation that will help police or the law to identify the guy who's the criminal actually. That's what he said. That's a very good part. At the end, he ends it by saying, do not fight, surrender, so that, you know, later on you can let the legal team take over from there. Yeah, of course.
Not cost you life. That's what he said.
No, I think the other thing also, you know, given that it's a bite and we need to, you know, what Lavanya said also correctly, he also said that it will help us nab him and stop him from doing the same thing to someone else. So what he said started with by saying that, you know, scratch and all so that we can identify. But if you're overpowered and you know there is no solution, give in, file the case, and you know, because of the things that you have done, it will help us nab the guy and put him to justice so that, you know, he doesn't do it again. What is forgot is that giving in is not necessarily, not dying. If you give in doesn't mean that you're not going to die.
Yeah,
But
there's no guarantee to that. Yeah.
There's no guarantee of that. I think that's what, I think that's where he's completely fallen apart. Like, while he initially suggested that, scratch and do all of that, it'll help us nab him. But giving in is not a solution that, it's going to stop me from not getting assaulted further, or it's going to get him nabbed, or I will be in a state of mind to even go and file a complaint. And he, having seen so many cases all his life, I think he should have known it better. So.
But I mean, if he's really giving if he's giving in some suggestions or advice to women in distress, saying that you scratch and do whatnot, why did he have to really end with that when he knows that that's sort of stripping the woman of the dignity of her dignity?
True.
If she's going to be giving in, you scratch and you do whatever you want, but. I mean, that's one thing that you don't advise. A police officer does not advise anybody to give in. That's possibly the last. Even if life is precious, like Som said, it's not like you're, there's no guarantee here whether if you give in, you're not going to be killed after that or not. Because ultimately, nobody wants evidence, and no rapist would want to let go of that opportunity to shut the woman up and never want to testify before the police.
And why would he spare
so if
her
he
at the
wants
end
to
of all
kill
of
you, whether you give in or you, resist, whatever it is, he'll still kill you if he wants to kill you, because he does not want evidence to go out.
Absolutely.
So that's just the most lamest excuse there or advice. Quickly, Sanat, I'll take your words here.
I would just like to conclude saying that I think it's not only Sangliana. I think the hashtag should change into shameless. So many people who have criticized or poured in defamatory comments. So I think since in a broader perspective, we cannot just target Sangliana, but even the laymen who have maybe caused has heard the sentiments of the women. So not just Sangliana, it can be Donald Trump. I think the hashtag should have more people in it rather than
hashtag more people in it. A quick question to all of you, one answer from each one of you. To all of those people who think women who are outspoken and who are out there are okay with whatever you say because they've seen life and they should be okay with it because that's how it is. Why take life lightly? Yeah, I mean, come on, don't be so stuck up.
Life is very precious. Why should we take it so lightly? Why should we put up with any kind of derogatory comments or actions? That's my point. We need not. Just because we are out there speaking up for a lot of women maybe who cannot speak up does not mean that you can throw anything at us.
You can't. And
you
if you're
cannot,
outspoken, and what is this perception of if you're outspoken, you'll lose?
Whoa, okay. Okay. I don't know, I'm speechless. I'm appalled.
Hey, this girl's too fast. No, go talk to her. She'll be friendly with you damn easily.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, I need some time to digest that statement. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's
I think we should let the rest of our panelists.
I'm sure, we've all heard that, right? Oh, that girl's easy, man. Why? Because she's friendly.
See, as long as it has offended me, as long as it has affected me and 100,000 other women, there is a reason to stand up for it, and we should. I mean, why shouldn't we? No matter how chilled out you are, as whatever guys call you, no matter, how laid back you are, as long as it is a derogatory statement and it has affected me, considering that, you are a fast girl. Nabila, this term fast is, really started picking up with many guys saying, oh my God, she's damn fast,
she's too fast woman.
The point is, the reason that probably I am fast or I am forward is the reason that I'm not going to that I'm not going to back down, that I am going to fight you, considering that you did make a derogatory statement. And that is why, that perception of fast, their definition of fast, is what has to change.
Right. So this will be valuable coming from you.
I'm just going to say this, right? If you think I'm fast, I can be equally furious. If you think I'm eloquent, yes, I'm easy to get along with, but I'm not easy to be dealing with. So I would say this, okay, for most of the women, let us not take most of the things that are said to us, because we need to have much more thick skin. Even to men, right? If you're being abused, if you're being tormented, if you're being assaulted, don't make that a lingo, don't make that a language, don't add it to the urban dictionary. Make it very clear that because you have an opinion, nobody can take you for granted, right? And now, next time somebody calls you fast, say I'm furious too. Do you want to see my nails coming out? That's all.
When somebody calls you loose to being friendly?
I'm going to be ludicrous then with you.
That's hilarious. Very well said. Anu, I'll take yours. What's your reaction to if you're too friendly, men assuming you're easy?
That's the thing, like everyone gets into saying that a girl who is like easily be able to like cope up with and talk to, they actually take them for granted and saying that, you know what, you can go and talk to her, go sit there, do
whatever you want.
Yeah,
and
that
then
happens.
From friend to
She's
something
more.
object,
Even if the girl doesn't know about it, they just make it up and then they make a big fuss about it, and then they themselves make up that B word that we are not. So it's actually, it has become very common these days, but that is not acceptable. You guys need to stop.
Girls are, it so happened that our society has transitioned to a point where girls are getting educated, they're out, they're working, they're whatnot. So just the number of men who are friendly, that's that's the number of women too who are as friendly. So if men who are friendly are not, we don't call men who are friendly loose. We just call them charismatic. We call them smart. We call them, he's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. He's very approachable. All of that. Why doesn't the same lingo? Why isn't the same lingo
Why
used
is the
on
tag
the women?
used
Why
for
is it
girls
more
exactly?
like, oh, the girl is friendly, so she is loose? Quickly, Srinidhi calling in. I'll wrap with her. Srinidhi from Yelahanka, please. Srinidhi, please go on. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to skip Srinidhi. Sanat, I'll wrap with you.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Oh, wow. Srinidhi,
Good
please.
afternoon to one of you there.
Srinidhi, you're a boy. I thought you were a girl. Srinidhi, please go on.
You know what? I used to tell several children, I have told several children, if you aspire to become a policeman, be fearless like Sangliana. Now, I'm sorry to say, don't take success to your head and become shameless like Sangliana.
Wow.
That's it.
Very well said, Srinidhi. Thank you so much. Very, very well said. Sanat, I'll wrap with you.
I think if we had to stand up for issues like this, I think we have to stand up for life, because this is never going to stop. And eventually, I would say that we need to respect women, but calling women beautiful is not a mistake.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, you guys, for showing so much patience, staying with us, and highlighting something that is the need of the hour. Because we really need to condemn this. We really need to speak up. Anybody has gotten offended, considering that Sangliana was your role model or somebody who you idolized and looked up to, then you also need to understand the perspective of women who were part of that event, and all the women who are reading and watching this, that this is not okay coming from a man with so much responsibility. He should have thought a little bit, once, twice, thrice. He's given 3 chances to apologize. He didn't think it was important to apologize, so we don't think it's important to respect here. Thank you so much for watching us. Stay tuned.